conscience. Can't roll with the nonsense. Don't mistake the cover of the book for its contents. I might show you kindness, swim with the piranhas. Things that we forget tend to come back and remind us. Like we all have a past we want to put behind us. Designed to be good, but evil always seems to find us. A man can only change the things he acknowledges. Plus his heat is flame, but skills over politics won't be the same. What really has me stressing out? The gyms are closed, so I can't get this aggression out. Before we get the promises, there must be offenses. The Bill Gates of hell won't prevail against us. They don't really want, but we speak it to them. They don't really want, but we teach it to them. They don't really want, but we give it to them. We got the whole package, baby. They don't really want, but we speak it to them. They don't really want, but we teach it to them. They don't really want, but we give it to them. We got the whole package, baby. Say my prayers. Thank God for blessing me. My life's an open book. Could that be why they're testing me? Maybe everything I do is done out of necessity. Stock is on the rise. I think you should invest in me. It's not strange. I'm money like blockchain. Except the things in life that I cannot change. Chant down Babylon. Payback is coming. I ain't LeBron James. You thought I came back for nothing? The game is canceled in the blink of an eyelash. Flow is sick. Grab your N95 mask. The new normal, it gets even scarier. All black and white, there is no gray area. Plain as day, we got the whole package, baby. Competition, their rhymes are all average. And that's my 16, nothing else to say, y'all. 5G raps, find me under the radar. They don't really want, but we speak it to them. They don't really want, but we teach it to them. They don't really want, but we give it to them. We got the whole package, baby. They don't really want, but we speak it to them. They don't really want, but we teach it to them. They don't really want, but we give it to them. We got the whole package, baby. Bounce. The gyms are closed. I gotta get this aggression out. Let's go. I'm from the city, they say never sleep. People you can never please. Words of blue checks that Twitter gives celebrities. Sometimes it's commercial, sometimes herbal remedies. Guaranteed to be 100 like centipedes. I claim my innocence, although innocence. I ain't perfect, I'm trying to cleanse my innocence. Not alone, I'm assisted by some instruments. And when I'm done, I'm on to doing bigger things. No holds barred, take no prisoners. Aim for the sky, potential is limitless. Before we get the promises, there must be a fence. The Bill Gates of hell won't prevail against us. Peace and blessings. And shalom. Welcome to another edition of Maccabees TV. It is your brother, Priest Dan, representing Lines of Israel and Maccabees TV. Welcome to another edition of our show. An early morning edition, but not quite as early as I usually do them when I'm doing my drive downs, right? So, first of all, I want to say peace and love to everybody that's watching. I would ask, as always, excuse me, if you are in the house, if you could please hit the like button. If you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, same thing, hit the like button. The like button, as I always tell you, the way the algorithm is built, the more people that interact with the video, hit thumbs up, comment, etc., is the more visible the video becomes. All right. So you're not hitting like because you're like me, like I always tell you. You're hitting like because you want the video to be more visible in case there's someone else that may be in need of the information that I'm going to present. All right. So once again, shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube and on Facebook. I definitely see my peoples in the building. Royal Prince, shalom to you. Crown Me 13, shalom to you. Lambert, UK, as always. All right, Denzel Banks, Detroit, Michigan in the building. And of course, I saw my man, Jimmy Nichols, AKA my brother Tawab Aman, from Israelite Saints of Christ. Shalom to you as well.
So, um, what is the purpose of today's video? Why am I doing today's video? So, I did mention to you guys, you see the title of the video, right? So, I did mention something in my live as I was driving down. And one of the things that I mentioned in my live as I was driving down was the need as a teacher to be repetitive. So, in the midst of me driving down, I was talking about some things, and I made a few statements, and I acknowledge and I recognize that there's a lot of people that are new to this channel, a lot of people that are new to the walk that may have never actually witnessed me address this particular issue before. Um, this particular issue was a stumbling block to me when I first came into the truth, or I should say, before I came into the truth. You guys already know my sob story. I started off as a 5%er. I wouldn't say I was wholeheartedly into it, but I was done with Christianity completely. And so at the time, that was the end thing. Same way today you see the conscious community and this whole comedic movement today is like seems like to be the thing. Well, when I was coming up, the whole 5% movement was a thing. If you go back and you look at a lot of the rappers from like 92 to about 2000, a lot of them were 5%ers, right? That was the big thing. And this whole philosophy about William Shakespeare actually being one of the translators of the Bible. See, there's a lot of pseudo information, a lot of misinformation that circulates concerning the Bible. And some of this misinformation is purposefully disseminated because a lot of our people, it's a stumbling block to them and they don't want to deal with the Bible because of these false historical, I'm going to say historical teachings that most people don't know how to address. And I was there one time myself. And whether you realize it or not, this is still out there today. A lot of people still believe this. So as we progress in this video, and this is not going to be a long video, I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, how to deconstruct the argument in case you ever hear it. So many of you have heard it, some of you have not. I know it's early, so you have to wipe the cold out of your eyes. You're going to have to wake up and be alert. And if I go too fast, then you'll have to watch this video again and take down the information. But this video can serve as a tool for you in case you ever hear this or if you have heard it to be able to deconstruct that argument because the person on the other end making the argument does not know what they're talking about. They got that from the internet. And prior to the internet, that was what you call, as Dr. Wesley Muhammad so eloquently put it, it is ghetto scholarship. And we all, at some time or another, have contributed to, repeated, disseminated ghetto scholarship, meaning stuff that people on the corner say, and it does sound good. So good that you actually repeat it and tell it to somebody else and someone else and someone else. And then that lie now, what is it? There's an old saying that says a lie often repeated becomes the truth. It's not really the truth, but it becomes a truth to people because so many people grasp onto it and nobody actually steps back and says, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to help you, brothers and sisters, today deconstruct this lie that William Shakespeare was one of the translators of the Bible. We're gonna prove that to be not because I say I'm going to show you. And the reason why I'm showing you, brothers and sisters, this, as I mentioned, is because 2 days ago when I did my driving show, I said it, and I got a lot of feedback from people. Was like, well, can you give us the information? And I really, literally had no intentions of. I'm not going live when I go home this week. I told you guys I'm doing doubles all week because I gave one of my guys vacation. So I have to cover him. So I'm doing 16-hour shifts every day. It is no way in the blue blazes in hell when I go home, I'm going to go live behind that. Just not going to happen. Nevertheless, I got so many inquiries about what I said that I realized I did have to go live. I can't put it off. So the best I can do is go live early. Like I said, you guys will, if it's too early for you, if you really don't want to be thinking too deeply right now, then you could just listen and then you come back later and you actually absorb it, take notes, and go do your own research. All right. Before I get to that. Wait, hold on a second. Let me just see something. Hold on a second. Let me just see something. I need some more likes, y'all. Byron Israel. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. They're always gonna attack the Bible. That's never going to change. Um, I'm supposed to be having a sit down with Brother Jabari on Sunday's platform at some point in the near future. We already know what that's gonna be. He's gonna be having his, expressing his problems with the Bible. That's what they do, right? But what I find is, and I really don't want to deviate from today's topic. What I find is that there's a lot of people that watch Sunday's platform, and a lot of people have come to the truth through the platform, and that's the reason why you still see myself and Captain Cesariak and others go over there. Many of you don't understand. That's okay. I know what gets put in my inbox. I know who I talk to in my inbox, and they tell me the first time they saw me was over there, which is why sometimes I go back. All right. If you don't get it, you don't get it. If you have a problem with it, I'm sorry about it. But that's just what it is. Again, hit the like button. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to get into it in 1 minute. I just want to address two things real quick before I get into the title of the video, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen. Well, first of all, I want to make sure, I know sometimes it's a little janky when I do these lives from work. So if you brothers and sisters would be so kind, in the chat to make sure to let me know um, that I can be heard. Let me know I can be heard. If I can be heard, if the audio is okay, just put one in the chat for me. I just want to make sure the audio is okay because I know it gets janky sometimes. And then I'll get inboxes. Hey, brother, it was cutting in and out. Not the best internet service here at my job, but I do what I can. And this is about the only time I'm going to have this week to do this. So just put one in the chat and let me know that I sound okay. Mika, what's up? What's good? What's good? Mika, you should have your notebook out and take some notes, girl. You're about to go into a little bit of history today, right? First, before we do that, let me go ahead and share my screen, right? Yeah, let's do that. Share my screen. Okay. Before we get into the main topic, and I'm starting off a little slow because I want to give people some time to come in. I know it's 7:25 on the East Coast, but if you're in other time zones, it's even earlier. A lot of people will catch this on the playback. I'm not going to prolong it too long, but I'll give people like another 10 minutes before I actually get into the meat and potatoes of what I want to show you. So let's talk about the election really quickly, briefly. We are currently 6 days away from the election, right? If you've been paying attention to some of the things that I've been pointing out on this channel, the powers that should not be, they call themselves the powers that be, but we call them the powers that should not be, right? Because Israel is the power that should be, but because we broke the Most High's commandments, we find ourselves underneath these other nations. But the powers that should not be are kind of through what we call Operation Mockingbird, repetitive storylines across all the different news agencies and news platforms. They've been telling us that this election is going to be extremely close, right? Both sides have expressed concern that there's going to be fraud in this election, more so the Republican side than the Democratic side, right? Trump is complaining about the mail-in ballots, rightfully so. If you guys have been watching this channel, you saw that I showed a few articles and videos where they're finding mail-in ballots in the garbage already, right? This is a storyline and a narrative that's leading up to the election, amongst other things. We also know that we just had a Supreme Court justice confirmed to the Supreme Court. And this election, similar to the election between Al Gore and George Bush, may come down to the Supreme Court. The difference is whoever wins, the other side is going to be bitter and angry and upset. So, in preparation for possible violence, and that is the narrative that's being spun on the news, they're beginning to activate troops and they're beginning to board up stores in downtown areas because they expect there to be violence after the election, no matter who wins the election, right? This is a narrative that's being spun. Why is this important? It is important because I have been telling you, brothers and sisters, that you just may find yourself in a city or an area where there's going to be violence, right? Where the National Guard may be activated. Do you want to be going outside talking about you going to the supermarket to get some food? If people are rioting, they're rioting right now in Philadelphia over the shooting of the brother that they said was mentally disturbed. He was shot by the police. There's all types of stuff going on. We have seen right wing militias say that if Trump loses the election, they're going to get violent. Me personally, this is my personal opinion. No, I don't have access to the actual documents and nothing like that. But in my opinion, all these militias, they're controlled by the CIA and FBI. They're leaders of plants trying to stir stuff up. And on the other side, on the left side, you have Antifa, who is also, I believe, a construct of the government as well to try to stir people up. So either way, it could be some problems, right? You don't want to be him or her that's in one of these areas where stuff is going down. Talking about you're going to get some stuff. You're supposed to have, if you've been listening to this channel, you're supposed to have been working on that already. How many times have we been saying it? Nevertheless, I don't want to be long-winded on this because this is not why I went live. Let's just read this article a little bit. This is from the Daily Mail, and you can see the same story across different news platforms. Texas prepares to send 1,000 troops to 5 major cities. DC boards up its stores, and Washington states put National Guard on alert amid fears of post-election violence. Because both sides are talking about that. Let's scroll down. Texas is preparing to send 1,000 troops to 5 major cities across the state to deter any civil disturbance post-election while stores in Washington begin to board up their windows Monday. Major General James K. Brown of the Texas National Guard told the Express News the move would offer support to local law enforcement as we did previously to deter any civil disturbances at sites in various cities within Texas. And if you've been paying attention to the news, and I'm not saying you should believe it because I don't believe half the stuff, right? A lot of the so-called swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Texas, and there are some others, I'm missing them, right? Right now, according to the CNN polls and stuff like that, which last time they said the same thing and Hillary wound up losing the election, but they have Biden ahead in some of these key so-called swing states. If he wins these states, these right-wing militia, borderline Ku Klux Klan type Edomite, they're not having it. And let me tell you something in case you brothers and sisters don't know. When I tell you firearms and ammunition is scarce because they are buying this thing up like never before, I'm telling you this. I live in a state where it is legal to own a firearm. The very shooting ranges in this state have no ammunition. If you're not going in there with your own ammunition, then you can't go. They don't have any. That's never happened before. It's never happened before. Okay? I'm seeing now where certain ammunition, man, is almost $1 a round, almost, which is insane. So something get ready to go down. I'm just saying. In the nation's capital, businesses close to Washington began to board up their windows Monday. Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills will also board up ahead of November 3rd. The U.S. will vote on November 3rd to choose between incumbent Donald Trump and Democratic Party challenger Joe Biden. Okay, probably just read a little bit more. You guys get the gist of the story. In Washington State, y'all pardon my phone in the background. Unfortunately, because I'm at work and my guys call me, I can't turn it off. Even like I do when I'm home, right? This should be going off when I'm home too. So anyway, in Washington State, up to 300 National Guard soldiers are undergoing training to handle civil unrest, and Seattle police officers have had their time off canceled. New York City has similar plans in place as the NYPD is training every day and deploying hundreds of extra cops as it braces for Election Day, and its aftermath. So we see a narrative being spun here, especially in the major cities, that they're expecting violence. We're not saying that that is what's going to happen, but they're expecting it. So, what should you, as a wise man or woman, be doing? It starts with P, preparing, like we've been saying. Federal and state law enforcement officials have already begun preparations for the possibility of widespread unrest at the polls on Election Day in response to an extraordinarily high tensions among voters and anxieties about safety stoked apart by Donald Trump. Brandon Jones, a spokesman for the Texas Guard, said troops will be sent to Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio. He said right now we could go to 1,000 troops to support civil disturbance operations. We're going to guard buildings, just like we did during the George Floyd protests earlier this year. We're not going anywhere near polling locations that has not been requested. Let's see, is there anything else I want to read? Because I think y'all guys can see this is downtown Washington, D.C. All right. If you're from New York, you kind of recognize this because every time when the Puerto Rican Day Parade used to be in Manhattan, a lot of the cities, a lot of the along Fifth Avenue, a lot of stores would board up their windows, saying that there was going to be violence, which there never was. So it was kind of just some racist stuff. But this site is not unfamiliar if you're from New York. You kind of see this when they be having parades in Manhattan. But they're bracing for violence, right? So you guys can see the pictures. All right. I'll read this last couple of paragraphs and I'll move on. It was reported last week that FBI and local officials in several states have been conducting drills, running through worst case scenarios and setting up command centers to improve coordination on reports of violence and voter intimidation ahead of the vote. The efforts are broader and more public facing than in past years as fears grow over the potential for violent clashes in cities across the U.S. Law enforcement officials say they are not responding to any specific threats or information, but are preparing for a host of different scenarios that could play out. A text message obtained by DailyMail.com last week saw Beverly Hills business owners told to board up the windows by the local police department. Blah 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 blah. So you guys get the gist of the matter. So no sense in me prolonging it, right? So let's go ahead and let's get rid of that. All right. All right. So once again, let's get these likes up, family. Once again, I'm going to stress to you, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to be very brief about it. You have to, we're going into what Joe Biden termed a dark winter, right? Many of you guys were sending me links and different things as to what that really means, but we all know it doesn't mean anything good. We know that. So you, as a responsible brother or sister, should really sit down with your family, right? Sit down with friends and people close to you. If you are part of a congregation, you sit down with your congregation, and these are discussions you have to have. We need a lot less of the folly that's going on in Israel and a lot more serious conversations, right? Even amongst, eventually, at some point, even amongst the different camps, there's going to have to be conversations. But it's going to have to be conversations that are done in the spirit of humility, meaning you're not going to come in and think you're going to just take over everything and just, no, it's going to be a conversation. It's going to have to be a real conversation and respect shown on both sides. We're coming to that right now. We're coming to that. As I said before, I'll say again and I'll move on. If you do not work well with others, you are going to be hard pressed to survive what's about to happen. You're going to be hard pressed to survive it. You better start learning to work well with others. You better start learning to make concessions. You don't have to always be so hard and rigid in everything because we're going to need each other. We are all we have. All right. So I'm going to leave that there and I'm going to move on so we can get to the main portion of this video. Okay. let's move on real quick. I just wanted to talk about something else. One last thing before we get into our main video, our main subject, right? So I was looking at our brother here, brother Kodak Black. Some of our older brothers and sisters, you don't know who this young man is, right? But he's one of the most popular rappers out right now. And I'll just say this, right? Kodak Black knows he's an Israelite. There's a lot of these guys that know. So much so that I've spoken to some people behind the scenes and DMs. We've been talking, and I see them do stuff in public, and I'm like, man, but you know, and I know you know. So why, that's neither here nor there, right? So this brother knows he's an Israelite. And I'm not gonna speak too heavily on this because I'm a little bit of an older brother, right? So he has a new album called is Bill is Real, right? So let's read this first paragraph here. It says, originally Kodak Black revealed that he was releasing an album called Bill is Real. However, he's decided to slightly change his plans instead of using a title that better communicates the content representing his newfound what? Religious views. They don't tell you what his newfound religious views is. He knows he is an Israelite. Okay? No, he's not acting like it in the videos that you guys see. He's straddling the fence, but he does know. And I believe he's still locked up. If he's not, y'all could correct me on that. I believe he's still locked up. And a couple of months ago, he was complaining to his lawyer that the jail or the prison was not honoring the fact that he used the word Jew in prison. So probably they're not giving him the type of foods he wants to eat. According to the dietary law, they're probably not allowing him to, respecting his request to keep holy days and stuff like that. So, that's one of those things. But he knows he's an Israelite, right? And now when you look at the cover, I'm trying to decipher the cover for myself. I'm not quite understanding. Here it is, right? Here it is. That's him on the right. It looks like he has what I would consider to be like what they call a so-called Hasidic Jew on the left, right? Now I'm telling y'all, this brother knows he's an Israelite. So I don't know quite why he put this on his album cover. I don't quite know what it means. If any of y'all can decipher this, you let me know. But dude knows, right? And it's time for a lot of these brothers, man, to stop straddling the fence. Ain't nobody asking for brothers to come forward and do what we do, right? But brothers got to stop straddling the fence. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, I'm not gonna insult the brother. I pray for the brother. Hope he gets it together. But the brother does know, and that's kind of why they did what they did to Nick Cannon, to discourage brothers that know from really coming out and just saying stuff openly. They kind of gotta do things in code. So if anybody can figure out what exactly he got going on here, I don't know. But I do know that the brother knows he's an Israelite. I know that for a fact. He definitely knows. All right, so I'll just leave that there. Maybe I'll look at the chat real quick. Any of y'all saw that album cover before? Y'all know these well, yeah, he was actually, like, I'll say this much. When he was locked up, right? One of the elders in the Mashara Yasharala was corresponding with him via mail, like letters. They were writing each other back and forth. And when he came out of prison last time, he came to one of the high holy days. Those pictures are circulating online. So that's how we know for a fact. We're not speculating. He knows he's an Israelite. So why he has this album cover, I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to convey. I ain't gonna hold you, right? But he does know. All right. So let's just pray for the brother and hope that that the brother, can do a little bit better. All right. So now I got a good amount of people here on YouTube and a good amount of people on Facebook. So now we're going to get to the reason why we are here. This is how I want to start this off, right? I know it's early. I'm not going to inundate you, brothers and sisters, with a whole bunch of information. I'm going to give you very surface information that you can utilize to go and do further research. And if and when you hear this, you know how to combat it. So this is how I want to start off. How many of you brothers and sisters, I want you to put one in the chat if you have. How many of you brothers and sisters have heard that William Shakespeare was involved in the translation of the Bible? If you have heard that, please put one in the chat. And it's okay. Because you may have heard it and not really realized or understood how to combat it. I'm going to give you the tools today. I'm seeing all ones. Okay, cool. And there's no shame in none of this, family. Guess what? I heard it too. When I was a 5%, I heard it too. And I give all praise, all honor, all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, for my elders, right? They made mistakes, like David made mistakes, like Solomon made mistakes. They made mistakes, but they were also great men. And when I came in to this way of life and this knowledge with that thought that William Shakespeare translated the Bible, the Most High put men in my path that was able to remove that stumbling block, because that was a stumbling block for me. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's get into this now. All right. I need for you brothers and sisters that are watching to pay attention. If you can take notes, take notes. If you can't take notes right now, you may want to come back to this video again. But some of y'all would do is you're gonna wait till somebody drop it on you, then y'all gonna come in my inbox and say, what did you say about? That's what y'all be doing. Like the history stuff I give y'all be like, oh, that's great. You don't really retain it, you don't write it down. And then when somebody hits you upside the head with a sledgehammer, then I find you in my inbox on Facebook saying, hey brother, what was that thing that you said? It's all good. I love y'all. Like I say, I keep saying, I'm gonna have to repeat myself again. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and let's get into the reason why we're here. So I don't keep you guys here all day. I know some of y'all got to get to work. You're like, all right, brother, get to okay, I'm gonna get to the point. I'm gonna go across all these tabs. Let's start here. Right. All right. William Shakespeare in Psalms 46. William Shakespeare and Psalms 46. Okay. In 1902, a person identified only as a learned correspondent in West Hackney brought to the attention of the world a curious fact about Psalms 46 of the King James Version of the Bible. The name Shakespeare seems to be coded into it. This is the doctrine. When did this philosophy first make its way into the consciousness of the people? In 1902. Right away, alarm should be going off. So nobody was saying this in 1620. Nobody was saying this in 1720. Nobody was saying this in 1820. This garbage came about in 1902. Right away, you should know it's trash. And by the way, before I go any further, this is not me being in defense of any translation, because I know some of you Israelites like, oh, you brothers always talking about the King James Bible. Let me explain something to you. It is the most popular translation of the Bible in the world, and is the most used translation in the Israelite community. That's just what it is. So if we're all using it, the least that we can do is know what it is we're holding in the palm of our hand. What are the arguments for and against it? We need to know this, especially if you're a teacher. Somebody in the chat put they never heard it. Well, guess what? You never knew this was out here, did you? So somebody would have asked you and you wouldn't have known how to respond, and that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So this philosophy first came about in 1902. All right, let's continue. I'm going to skip this and go down to here. Here it is. Let's start right here in the original. In the original 1611 King James Bible, the word spear was actually spelled spear, S-P-E-A-R-E. Another jewel, not going to get into it right now. Another jewel. When spelling became standardized, they had to go in and make revisions to the Bible as well. When you hear people talking about, oh, the Bible was revised 8 times, 10 times, ask them why. And look at the dumb look on their face. People know how to quote stuff, but they don't never know the whys. Just like to talk. So no, the revisions wasn't they were changing the word of God. No. When spelling became standardized and the words began to be spelled differently, They had to go back in the Bible and update the spellings to the modern spelling. That's all it was. In the original 1611 King James Bible, the word spear was actually spelled Speare, which contradicts the guy's point about the four consonants of spelling of Shakespeare's name. However, his larger point remains true, that in Psalms 46, the word shake is 46 words from the beginning, and the word spear is 46 words from the end. One theory is that this suggests that Shakespeare worked on the King James translation and devised this way to leave his calling card, kind of like a Shakespeare was here sign, or maybe one of the translators was a fan of his, or perhaps it means absolutely nothing. So let me just come down and show you guys exactly what the philosophy is. Let's look at Psalms 46, right? So when you go 46 words from the beginning, right, of the chapter, you see the word shake right there. And when you scroll down and you get to 46 words before the end of the chapter, you see the word spear right here. Brothers and sisters, this is what they used. Yes, it sounds stupid, but there are people that really believe this and really teach this in the Black community, especially the 5%ers. They teach this. So you need to know this exists first. Then you need to know, how do you deconstruct it? So now we've all seen it. I've gone over this before. I'm just repeating myself. So Psalms 46, what chapter is this? Psalms 46. One more time. What chapter is this? Psalms 46. I'm giving y'all a hint. The place in the chapter that it is said that William Shakespeare put his name into is going to destroy the philosophy by itself. Just sheerly by the chapter that it's in is going to destroy it by itself. Okay. So we got it. Once again, let's look at it one more time. According to this teaching that came about in 1902, William Shakespeare secretly inserted his name into the book of Psalms 46. You have the word shake, that is 46 words from the beginning of the chapter, and the word spear, that is 46 words from the end of the chapter. And so this is how they prove that William Shakespeare was indeed responsible for translating the Bible, most particularly the book of Psalms. Okay, now it is time for us to, let me see something real quick, deconstruct that philosophy. Let's come here. William Shakespeare, right? I'm not even going to go into the article. All we need to look at is right here, the very first entry right here. William Shakespeare. He was born the 26th of April, 1564. April 26, 1564. He died April 23rd, 1616. April 23rd, 1616. Everybody see that? Good. I'm going to repeat it. Just stay with me. King James. Born June 19th, 1566. Died March 27th, 1625. Born June 19th, 1566. Died March 27th, 1625. That's interesting. Let's go to the next tab. This is a book called The Psalms of King David, translated by King James, right? And I have this book. But what I want to read is, I want to go down and I want to read to you guys a brief description of what the book has in here. All we need is the first couple of sentences, and we're going to begin to deconstruct this lie. It says, the Psalms of David, translated by King James, 1631. Some believe that King James did not do the translation work and suggested that Sir William Alexander was the translator. We'll get to that in a second. Others point to statements by Alexander and James's insistence on his translation to suggest that King James did indeed do the translation work. Thomas Young wrote that King James translated only 31 of the Psalms. Here it is right here. Pay attention. Here it is right here. Thomas Young said that King James only translated how many of the Psalms? 31. How many of the Psalms did King James translate? Only 31. Before what? Before his death. He only was involved in translating 31 Psalms. That's it. Before he died. What year did he die? 1625. So in the year 1625, there were only 31 Psalms that were done. 1625, only 31 Psalms that were done. Boom, but William Shakespeare died in 1616. 10 years after William Shakespeare was already dead, they only had accomplished 31 Psalms. So, how in the hell, if they were only at 31 Psalms 10 years after King James died, how in the fuck did William Shakespeare put his name in Psalms 46? 10 years after William Shakespeare was dead in 1625, they only had done 31 Psalms. They never even got to 46. Who's lost? If that made sense to you, put one in the chat. If that made sense to you, put one in the chat. If not, I will go over it again. I'll go over it again. I'll go over it again. If that made sense to you, put one in the chat. If it didn't make sense to you, it's okay. Put two. We're here. I'm here to teach. I'm here to teach. If it didn't make sense to you, put two in the chat. I'm gonna go over it again any damn way. Truth be told, I'm going to get to that. Just be patient. I know some of this is new because most of us have a Bible in our hand and we don't know how we got it. We don't know nothing about we don't know the intricacies of the translation. We just know the basics. So a lot of this stuff is going to be new to you. I know. It's okay. All right. Let's repeat that one more time. One more time. According to this philosophy that came out in 1902, William Shakespeare inserted his name into Psalms 46, right? The word shakes is 46 words into the chapter, and the word spear is 46 words before the end of the chapter. And according to this philosophy, which came out in 1902, which the 5%ers still teach to this day, William Shakespeare inserted his name into Psalms 46. The problem that we have, William Shakespeare died in 1616. King James died in 1625. And at the time of his death, they only had made it to Psalms 31. So it's impossible for William Shakespeare to have put his name in Psalms 46. 10 years after he died, they still were only at Psalms 31. So that is a lie. That's what you call ghetto scholarship. That's what it is. Now, everybody says that was clear. Let me introduce you to another gentleman. Let me just move this a little bit over here because I didn't have this quite in the order that I meant to have it. Let me introduce you, brothers and sisters, to an individual here. This guy's name is William Alexander. Why is this important? Because this is where the scholars get things twisted. It was not William Shakespeare. It was William Alexander that was involved in helping to translate the book of Psalms. It was not William Shakespeare. They share the same first name, but it wasn't William Shakespeare. It was Sir William Alexander. Okay. All right, let's come down to Let me do it this way because I will never find it otherwise. Control F. Let's type it for Psalm. There it is. So what I did was I came to the first Wikipedia article. All right. This is what it says. This is Sir William Alexander. William built a reputation as a poet and a writer of rhymed tragedies and assisted King James I and VI in preparing the metrical version known as the Psalms of King David, translated by King James. How far did they get, brothers and sisters? Remember, they only got to Psalms 31 before he died. Only to Psalms 31. And published by authority of Charles I. This is the portion of history. I know it's a lot. It's the portion of history a lot of people don't know. The Psalms was not published by James. When the Bible, it was published by Charles, his son, because they never finished it before he died. This is the portion of history a lot of brothers and sisters don't know, both in the conscious community and in the Israelite community. They just don't know this. And I understand. I didn't either until the elders many years ago sat me down and was showing me this stuff. I was like, well, good God Almighty, I didn't know that. Okay. Is everybody okay? If y'all right there, put one in the chat. I know I keep asking you. I want to make sure everybody's okay. I just want to make sure everybody's okay. If y'all okay, put one in the chat. Let me know we're good. I'm gonna wait. His son's name was Charles I. After he died, his son Charles I came into power. And by his authority, the book of Psalms was completed. Well, I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay. All praises. Okay, cool. All right, let's finish this out now. Let's finish this out. Because I know it's early. It's a lot of information to be early, right? I know. I've been meaning to go over this for a while, but I haven't had a chance. Okay. So let's come to this article right here. Now I have this stuff in history books. What I did was I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, I'm not. I had this stuff in history books. Let me stop sharing for 1 second. Like in primary history books. But what I did was I searched for it online. So for those of y'all that's coming in late, if you watch my last live when I was driving down, I was saying all this stuff, but I wasn't showing it. So a lot of people after my last live was inboxing me like, well, where can I find that stuff? I've never heard that stuff before. Where can I find it? Right. And I'm not going to be doing no lives from my house this week to go into my books and stuff like that. So I said, I was wondering, can I find the stuff online? So I went and I found a lot of articles on it online, but it's also in primary history books too. It's there. You have to know it's there to look for it. I'll give y'all a book that at the end of this, I'll pull up one of the books that I have that kind of goes into this. Let's read this article right here. It says, King James Psalter. Besides the 1611, wait, am I sharing? I think I stopped sharing. I sure did. I was about to be talking to my daggone self. Hold on, y'all. Okay. All right. King James Psalter. Besides the 1611 authorized version of the Bible, commonly known as the King James Bible, two psalters bear the name of King James I of England and the VI of Scotland. It went in 1631 and 1636. Y'all got it? 1631, 1636. Let's go back and let's review. As of 1625, when he died, they only finished 31 Psalms. This is 1625. Thomas Young wrote that King James translated only 31 of the Psalms before his death. When did he die? 1625. Okay. In 1631, they finished the job. Besides the 1611 authorized version of the Bible, commonly known as the King James Bible, two psalters bear the name of James I of England, VI of Scotland, published in 1631 and 1636, respectively. These psalters reflect the poetic interest of King James in versifying the Psalms, as many noblemen of his day also desired to do. The interest of the king in this project, however, forced others to lay aside their intended goal, One such poet was William Drummond of Hawthornden. That's another guy that was involved in helping translate the Psalms. William Drummond of Hawthorne, excuse me, William Drummond of Hawthornden. It's another William. None of these guys are William Shakespeare, whose attempt merited this frank response from Sir William Alexander, who was the other guy that helped out. It says, so this is William Alexander writing to William Drummond, and it gives you the source at the bottom of where you can find this stuff. Brother, I received your last letter with the Psalms you sent, which I think very well done. I had done the same long before it came, but he, King James, preferred his own to all else. Though penchance, when you see it, you will think it the worst of the three. I'm going to explain all this. No man must meddle with that subject, and therefore I advise you to take no more pains therein. This is from a book by Miller Patrick. It's called 4 Centuries of Scottish Psalmody, page 83. What is happening here, brothers and sisters? What is happening here? Well, you have always heard people say King James translated the Bible as well. You heard people say that Shakespeare did. You've heard people say that King James did. Now you have a better idea of what they're trying to say. What they're trying to tell you, what they're trying to convey, but they don't know how, because they don't know history, is that we know he hired 47 translators to translate the Bible, but he himself, I'm talking about King James, he himself hired William Alexander and William Hawthornden, and all three of them made an attempt to translate Psalms. How was the king able to even make an attempt to translate the Psalms? Because he had a cursory knowledge of classical languages. He was raised to know how to speak Greek and some Hebrew. He knew it. I'm going to give you guys a good book to read about that stuff. So when they had the council, when they decided to come and do the translation of the Bible, he kept the Psalms back and was like, I'm going to translate that. And as you read right here, he said he liked his translation better than the two guys he hired, but his was actually the worst, which was never used. It was never used. Let's read this article. Let's read this paragraph one more time. This is William Alexander writing to William Drummond, and they're talking about the king. Brother, I received your last letter with the Psalms you sent, which I think very well done. So William Alexander is complimenting William Hawthorne and saying, you did a good job with your translation. I had done the same long before it came, but he, the king, prefers his own to all else, because the king was trying to do it too. Never finished it. Only got to Psalms 31. And as you're going to see, it says, though penchance, when you see it, you will think it the worst of the three, because it was really bad. It was poor, because he was not a linguist or a scholar, really. Okay? Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys this stuff. Now you're beginning to see where sometimes you'll hear these things and people say these things, but they have no historical background or knowledge to really be able to explain these things. Now what I'm showing you, brothers and sisters, when you hear these arguments, you can fill in the blanks for them. No, he did not translate the Bible. He made an attempt to translate Psalms and died way before he finished. And the two guys he hired, they'd finished the job. And they, amongst themselves, behind his back, said his translation was trash. That's what's happening here. All right. And you guys see the source right there, right? Bottom. Let's see. All right, let's continue real quick. I'm gonna do like another few minutes. Okay. King James continued his efforts to improve upon the metrical psalms already in use. When he died, this alluded to his 1625 sermon. Now, there were, just so we're clear, right, brothers and sisters, just so we're clear, listen carefully. There were other translations of Psalms that were already in use, and those translations were in the original 1611. When you do research, listen carefully, because somebody asked this in the chat. When you do research, you realize that William Tyndale, and I'm not going to go into that right now, a lot of his translations were kept by the translators because he did such a good job, including Psalms, right? A lot of his translation was kept by the translators in 1611. That's what was in there. However, on the side, King James, William Alexander, and William Hawthorne were doing their own translation of the Psalms, which was added in 16 what? 1631 and 1636. This is the history a lot of people don't know. Right. This was okay, I'll just read all this stuff. It says King James continued his efforts to improve upon the metrical psalms already in use. When he died, this was alluded to in his 1625 funeral sermon. This was said at his funeral. It says the king, our master, was in hand when God called him to sing psalms with the angels. With the translation of our church psalms, which he intended to have finished, it was his intent, but he did not, and dedicated with all to the only saint of his devotion, the Church of Great Britain and that of Ireland, the work was stayed in 1 and 30 Psalms. So when it says the work was stayed in 1 and 30 Psalms, meaning that's where he left off when he died. Okay. Continuing on, it says, and after the king's death, Charles I, who was his son, charged Sir William Alexander. So no, it was not William Shakespeare. I'm gonna keep saying it now. You guys should have that name extra in mind. It was not William Shakespeare. It was William Alexander to ensure that the metrical Psalms of King James saw the light of day. And so in 1631, a version bearing his name was published. It is called the Psalms of David, translated by King James. So he was given the credit, just like it says the King James Bible. He was given the credit and it was named after him, but he didn't finish it. And that's enough. I think that's enough. I have to ask. I know I asked before. Well, this is what I'm going to say to you, truth be told, right? This is what I'm going to say to you. You do realize it's a very simple search to find out all the people that were involved in the translation. It's not like it's some deep, um, it's not like it's some deep, dark mystery. You can find the names of all the people that were involved in the translation, and he was not one of them. He was not one of them. All right. Many, many books. You can even read Wikipedia articles. They list all there are Wikipedia articles that list the names of all the translators. He was not one of them. Okay, so yeah, it's available free as a PDF. So hopefully that was helpful. I don't know. You guys tell me in the chat if you guys learned something. Well, see, this is what I'm gonna say to you, truth be told. You said because Shakespeare's name is not cited does not preclude his possible involvement. That's when we deal with conjecture and speculation. That's not how you do scholarship. And that's the reason why there's so much bad scholarship in the world today. Because we do could be, possibly, maybe, and then we get crap like this guy put his name in Psalms 46 and stuff like that. And this is where we get stuff like that because we leave the door open to possibilities and could be's. And then the next thing you know, they're gonna say Shakespeare was homosexual and blah blah blah. This is just the nonsense that's out there, which is why I gotta come behind and take the proverbial broom and dustpan and sweep up the mess that's left behind by these possibilities. That's garbage. I just got to keep it a buck. I'm not gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? Um, hopefully, yeah. The Bible is named after him. That's just what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. That's just what it is. Um, but we now know because we all saw the information together that it's not true. Okay. He or she that have an ear, let them hear. All right. So let me go ahead and let me see 1 second. Let me go ahead and close some of these tabs. It's gonna give you guys a give me a second. right, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. 1 second. All right. This is a good read, brothers and sisters. See this book right here? It's called The Cradle King. I have this book, right? It's a good book. It's a long read. It's 507 pages. So if you don't have time to read 507 pages, then maybe one day I'll actually open the book up and show you guys just the good stuff that's in here. But this is one of the first places that I found this information, and then of course you got to fact check the author, and that's when I started running across a whole bunch of other books that was going into this whole history that I never knew. So this is a great place to start. That what I went into and showed you the articles and stuff online is actually in this book as well. This book also goes into a lot of great history. It goes into the history of how he was raised, the stuff that I mentioned about him being able to speak, cursory, like some of the more classical languages. He had like an understanding of how to read and write that stuff. That's in here. His mother murdering his father is in here. Like a lot of good stuff is in here. And of course, once you read that, then you go and you do your own research and you take it further, right? So this is one of the books that I get that information from. It's not the only one, but it's one of the ones that come to my mind. I have a lot of other books that go into it too, but this is the one that always comes to my mind. It's my go-to because it's quick. All right, so hopefully that is helpful to you. Another book that I mentioned to you guys the other day that I think you guys should get and look at the prices, guys. It's cheap. It may not remain cheap now that I'm showing it. I did a video on this about a year ago on this book, and I suggested it, and a handful of people actually went out after I suggested it and got it, and they came back and they thanked me for suggesting this book. Why? This book is an excellent book. Why? Because it's very easy read. It's not going to take you a long time to go through this book. And the reason why you want to get a book like this is because if you really want to understand how we got the very Bible that the majority of us use, the English translation that the majority of us use, how we got it, then this is a great place to start. You're going to learn about the Textus Receptus, what did I mention last time, versus the Alexandrian manuscripts. You're going to learn a lot about the people that were involved in the translation and what their professions were. These were some of the most professional scholars of their time, and a whole bunch of other things about the Bible that you didn't know concerning the translation. You're also going to learn about the revisions that I mentioned to you guys, because the Bible, the KJV was revised several times. It goes into all that. And the book has a lot of charts and graphs and pictures and primary sources. You're going to see a lot of things that you never knew about before. Now you have a better understanding of how you have that Bible, because that's what the conscious community and others try to use against many of you, that you really don't know much about the very Bible that you hold on to. It's just like a lot of us are no different than a Christian. You're just holding on to it. And you're reading it, which is great, but you don't know much about it. This is a great read. Okay, so I did a show on it before. I'm repeating myself again. It's not a very expensive book, A Visual History of the King James Bible. Get it for cheap. I would advise you, if you're interested in it, get it for cheap. Go on Amazon and get it ASAP, because I'm pretty sure the prices are going to go up. You guys all know, right? This is random stuff. I used to do, now I'm really going off the beaten path, but it's really about this, right? All these websites are built on algorithms, right? So I used to work for American Express, right? American Express Travel. And what happens was you have these platinum card holders that would call in, and I would book their vacations for them. Now, here's the problem. I would put together vacation, flight, hotel, whatever for the, for the platinum customer, and I would quote them a price, and they would be like, okay, I'm gonna call you back, right? Now they leave off the phone with me. So, well, first of all, while I'm on the phone with them, they will write down, I'm gonna give them the flight number, I'm gonna give them the hotel, the rate, everything. They write this stuff down, right? And now they want to go talk to their wife. They go back on the website after they hang up from me, pull up the same trip, right? And now the price went up, right? Then they close it down and they want to show their kids. They pull up the same flight information for their kid, and the price went up again. Then they call me back cursing me out. But you said that site works on an algorithm. So every time that you pull up that flight, the reason why the price keeps going up is because the algorithm sees that, oh, that's a popular flight. Bang, the price goes up. Did y'all know that? So when you see that's why a lot of times when you see a flight or something that you see, you got to buy it right then, because you have other people looking at the same flight, them same prices, and the more people that are looking at it, the price goes up. It's an algorithm. The same thing is true on Amazon. That's why a lot of times the books prices go up, because we do shows and we show a book, and then like 50 of y'all go on Amazon and try to get the book. Y'all look at the price on my screen right now: $16, $9, $6. If 50 of y'all go right now and try to order this book, like in a week, this book is gonna be like $50. It works off an algorithm. So if you're interested and you look it up, you need to get it ASAP before the price goes up. I just wanted to drop a little jewel on y'all in case y'all didn't know that that's how it works. It's not just YouTube that works off an algorithm and Facebook. It's all of these websites. They all do that. Yo, y'all over here arguing about, man, y'all love to argue, man. So I'm calling a lot of y'all argue like, say, stop arguing, man. It's not that serious. We just going, y'all go do your own research, man. You don't need to be arguing about nothing. I'm just here to present y'all information. I try to give you guys stuff that you'd be hard pressed to find elsewhere, because nobody has time to sit down and read books like I did. I don't have that time now. If I was to be studying this stuff right now, I'd be stuck. Fortunately for me, I learned a lot of this stuff in the 90s when I used to work for myself. You know, when I was a part of the old school and we used to work on the oil tables, we had a lot of our own free time. So I would sit down myself and my lawyer and others, we sit down, we comb through all these history books. I'm regurgitating stuff that I learned like 20 something years ago. I don't have the time to sit down now. So I'm just kind of giving you guys the keys so that you don't have to go and sit down and read a 500-page book. You heard what I said. You can go back and watch this video. You can look this stuff up and you can expand your knowledge. That's all it is, man. And come back and show me some stuff. I had one brother in my camp. I gave him some information about the Spanish translation of the Bible. Very cursory. I didn't do much research on it. Just gave him some. He came back with dropping stuff. I'm like, dropping hot rocks on me. I'm like, dang. You know what I'm saying? For real. So that's what it is, man. I'm showing y'all stuff. Y'all gonna come back later and show me better stuff. More detail. That's what it is. Each one, teach one. I don't know everything. I know a lot of things. I can lead you in the right direction to a lot of things, but I don't know everything. So you guys can come back and expand upon this, just like I expanded upon it. My elders. My elders had know a lot of history, but I know in some areas I know more than they did. And some of y'all are gonna come and further it. That's what it's supposed to be. And if I'm your brother and I'm a good leader in Israel, I'm going to encourage you to surpass me. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Let me look at my lights, man. Y'all over here absorbing my stuff, and my lights is not what they should be, man. That's y'all are off. Y'all are off. No love. Hey, brothers talking about the fruits of the spirit. Where's the fruits of the spirit? Where my lights at? What's good? There you go. There you go. Hey, man. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters, listening. Um, Hopefully you guys were edified. And you know, Lord willing, I'll be back. If y'all want some more, y'all can definitely let me know when this video go live. Drop it in the comments. Let me know y'all want more. Y'all like stuff like this. Y'all been asking me lately to go back into the PowerPoints, go back to this. So here's a little bit of introduction to get your minds spinning. Right. With that, I love y'all. Thank y'all for supporting. At the bottom, that's the website. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Those of y'all that have gone to the website and hit the donate button and donated, I greatly appreciate it. I don't do this for that, but it definitely helps in some of the things that we're trying to accomplish going forward, right? Because we have some definite things planned, and the Most High has opened up some doors for me that you guys will be hearing more about shortly. So I appreciate all the love, all the support, but I do this out the love of my heart and for the love of truth. All right. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying? We're a set apart nation. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end it like that. I love y'all. And please look out for the next broadcast. This is your brother Priest Dan, Lions of Israel. representing.
Spacious air, reflecting the way of life under the Florida sky. Even the lobbies funnel in the great outdoors.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Chosen. They say the chain of Shaitan is not that strong. They say his time is running out, he ain't got that long. They say murder, murder, kill, this is not that song. Said I won't amount to nothing, they got that wrong. Cause I was set apart and I was shown the light. And if I get the kingdom, I'll be clothed in white. 1/3 will be delivered and the rest were blinded. Their fate is set in stone, what you ain't read the fine print? Christ is gonna give a crown to us. In the end we'll have the nations bowing down to us, with their faces to the ground to us. It's the truth, as crazy as it sounds to us. Jacob forever rules, and we're his precious jewels. Showed us love and patience, put us above the nations. And that's the gospel. Thank God for choosing me. Bad news for you is really good news for me.
I was set apart for God's use.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Let me tell you why. We have a different kind of shine, a different kind of mind. The rhythm's not the same, we're on a different type of time. With a different kind of pace, a different kind of race. The season's not the same, we have a different kind of taste. A different kind of salt, we are so not them. Got my sword and my shield, man, I'm so locked in. And when I came to serve you, how I put my whole heart in. So I can't sit calm, I'm no Martin. And that's a reach, y'all, chosen to teach y'all. Every Sabbath you can find us in the streets, y'all. Dare ya Allah, my nickname is Priest, y'all. In the gym, they say that I'm a beast, y'all. Set apart, the nations all hating me. Set a trap, they lying in wait for me. Chris Paul, they don't wanna play with me. But if you love me, I'm asking that you pray with me. Cause
I was set apart for God's use.
chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Chosen. And thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people, chosen above all people that's on the face of the earth. That's Deuteronomy 7:6. That's you, black and Latin man. Chosen. That's you, black and Latin woman. Yeah. And we the chosen. Chosen.